This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me for being late. We wanted to make sure we got everything right before we just jumped on. But you already know the Knicks trade Cam Reddish for Josh Hart. Essentially, that's what the trade is. Obviously, there's more included with the trade. We're going to go ahead and break that down right now and then talk about it. All right, so the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, will receive Josh Hart, as we just discussed. And the Blazers will receive Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono, Svi Michalek, a 2023 first-round pick. And that first-round pick turns into 4 seconds if it's not conveyed this year. Okay? On the face of the trade, I think it's a good trade, right? You get Josh Hart. He can play defense. He can shoot the 3 ball. He's not shooting it that well so far this season, but he can shoot the 3 ball, right? He's a great rebounder. You know what I mean? He's a Tibbs type of a player. He's going to be a hard-nosed player coming off the bench. People are concerned about that 2023 first-round pick, right? That's where I think there's a lot of concern. Let's break it down. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Tony, what's popping with you, bro? How you feel about the trade?
Well, my initial reaction was a little bit concerning. We'll talk about, Josh Hart and his contract. I may have been misguided in my thoughts with his contract, so that was some of my concerns. And also, obviously, that first round pick. Knowing that it converts to 4 seconds definitely softens the blow for me. I don't think we'll be in the lottery. Things would have to go terribly wrong from here on out for us to end up in the lottery. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the first round pick won't convey.
I guess that's even if it's even if it's the Knicks first round pick, it may not even be the Knicks pick. It may be, one of these other picks that the Knicks acquired, Detroit, Washington, or whoever. It may be one of their picks that were sent on. Because, the Knicks have a bunch of these 2023 picks. And it's something that we talked about before. The Knicks had to figure out something. What are they going to do with these picks? They had to figure out something. You know what I mean? Because they weren't going to draft all these players. Maybe this is what they figured was the best thing to do, to acquire a guy like Josh Hart, right, for a pick that they probably weren't going to use or that may not even have conveyed to them. I don't know. Who knows? I guess we'll find out more about, what that pick is. You know what I mean?
But Sim, the more I thought about it, like you said, this is a Tibbs guy. I don't think there's any concern about whether we're going to be in the same situation as before, where we're trading a guy not in a rotation and bringing the guy in and wondering how he's going to play. This guy's going to play. It's no question about it. I guess the question now is, does somebody else have to step back in a role, or is the lineup going to be expanded back to 10? But either way, this guy is productive. A veteran, a teammate, former teammate of Brunson, which I think that'll help a lot. And he can help now. He can help now.
Yeah, he can help.
So
now.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, he's definitely a Tibbs guy. Tough, hard-nosed defender. You know what I mean? Definitely a Tibbs type of guy. Nate, your head is falling up the screen again, but talk to me, man. How you feel about the trade?
I love it, man. I mean, yeah, I get the first round pick is kind of, but you really gave up nothing. You're already going to change Cam Reddish, Archie Diakonu, and Steve weren't even going to play for you. They were just extra bodies. So Josh Hart, all the accolades you said, tough, smart, a leader. He played with a Portland team that's very young, so he's used to playing with young guys. He's going to be a spark plug off the bench. I mean, we don't know what his role is going to be. I think he could be lead guard off the bench. That's just me. Free up quickly and McBride, or McBride takes a step back and, he plays it quickly. I'm not sure. The two questions I have about this is he going to play when the game's on the line? Because Tibbs trusts those kind of guys. He's 27 years old. He can play. He's a smart guy. Who's gonna suffer coming from a starting position? Like, is it gonna be RJ? Is it gonna be Grimes? That's one question I have. And then also too, go ahead.
You're saying closing?
You think he's gonna start?
Yeah, closing the game. Yeah, because I think like if RJ's struggling or if Grimes is struggling, I could definitely see Hart being in there and the end of the game. Because the guy can play. He's been in battles before. I mean, you bring a guy like this, he brings you experience. He's got game. He's a smart dude. He played well with Brunson. I think that's going to be something to be said about that too. And another thing too that nobody's mentioned yet, and that just came to my head, is that heaven forbid if Brunson gets hurt and you need somebody to start, I could see him starting. If Brunson's out for some games or something like that, I think Tibbs will trust him over quickly and McBride.
Well, see, me, I think it takes some time to build up that trust. You know what I mean? Like,
first of all, but he's 27 years old, so I
get it. But you got to figure out what the Knicks are doing schematically, sure. Right? You got to know what they're doing schematically, and right. you got to start to build some chemistry with the players and things like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if will he play down the stretch? Obviously, I think there's going to be games where the Knicks need him to play down the stretch. I think that only makes sense. That's going to happen.
And his defense is going to keep him on the floor.
His defense is rebounding and keep him out there on the floor at times. And yes, he will get some playing time down the stretch on occasion, just like Emmanuel Quickly does, RJ Barrett does, Quentin Grimes does, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Whoever's playing well, I don't think he just supplants somebody. I think it's going to be with Tom Thibodeau out of Quickly, Grimes, RJ, Josh Hart, who's playing well. I mean, we seen Deuce McBride play down the stretch the other night because of his defense, and he was hitting shots, and he was making plays. So, I don't think it's just that he supplants somebody. If he's doing the work and other guys aren't, then I think he's going to be out there on the floor in those situations.
Well, I could see at some point it could happen. He's like Tony said, he's a plug and play player. You plug him in and you give him his role, and he's going to be fine.
Yeah. Josh, your thoughts, man?
Good evening, fellas. Good evening to the chat out there. So, my first thoughts about this trade is I love the player. I love the player in Josh Hart. I think he could potentially fit in what the Knicks are trying to do. I was a little bit uneasy about the first round pick. However, I do realize now that it's protected. The Knicks have they had potentially 4 of them. Probably 3 of them were going to convey this year. Obviously, they're not going to draft all of those players. But still, I didn't like the idea of giving up a first-round pick, particularly when you gave up one to get Cam Reddish. Now you have to give up another one just to get off of him. But whatever, situation happened. You got to find a way to move him, try to get something back for him. Third thing, Josh Hart is a rental player. And I want to be careful not to talk in absolute saying, well, this person will play, because we thought that Cam Reddish would play, and he turned out not to be a Tibbs kind of player. I think Josh Hart is a little bit different, but I don't want to say, well, this guy will play, because I still have unanswered questions as to why Tom Thibodeau went to the 9-man rotation in the first place. Did he go to the 9-man rotation because he's just comfortable with playing 9 people? It's easier for him to coach that way? Or did he personally feel like the Knicks were not deep enough? I think that question is still unanswered. And if it's the latter, then Josh Hart will play. But if it's, the first one, then I think there's a possibility of Josh Hart going in a rotation, and then it's going to sacrifice maybe Deuce or someone else at the back end. So that's a question that we still have to figure out. Obviously, it's yet to be seen. As far as the player himself, I love Josh Hart. He is a rental player. He better play, or if you're looking at a situation where you just traded a first-round pick and some back end of the rotation guys for nothing, for a player that's going to leave.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
We just don't know.
And we hope that the conversation, remember we kept saying, this time seems a little bit different. We hope that they had a conversation to say, what kind of guy do you want? Blah, 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 blah. I hope they had that conversation because it will look really, really bad if they brought this guy in and he doesn't play. My heart says he's playing.
He's going to play. He's going to play. I can't
imagine they went through what they went through with the Cam situation and they go out here and don't talk to Tom again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially when they realize, all right, we can't just make the move one player for one player.
Right.
We got to do this. We got to put these protections in and do the pick. You know what I mean? Listen, is this the direction? Because otherwise you stay pat. You know what I mean?
Right.
You stay pat.
Right.
And you deal with the consequences or figure it out within.
Right.
So I don't think they didn't talk to Tibbs yet.
And Tony, this is a rental player, so if he doesn't play, he's walking. He's walking out the door. So basically, the Knicks would have traded a first-round pick to get how much salary? 15. I don't know how much Josh Hart's making, but $15 million in salary for the offseason. That's basically what
Josh Hart.
Well,
so here's the thing.
More.
Yeah. So here's the thing about his contract. So we've looked at it in two different areas, right? And it's I don't know if it's totally clear exactly what his contract is. Well, we know what his contract is and how much he makes.
No, it's a player option for next season.
But we're talking about it being, when we talk about the guarantees on it. So from Hoops Hype, this is what we have from Hoops Hype. This is what's on the screen. It's contract situation. 2022, 2023, that's this year, $12.9 million, right? $12,960,000. In 23-24, $12,960,000. But in 23-24, it's not guaranteed. It becomes guaranteed if he's not waived by June 25th, 2023. Right? So that is what's in Hoops Hype. When you look at Spot Track, it says player option / non-guaranteed, and then it says fully guaranteed on 6/25/23. So the option deadline is 6/25/23. So I'm not sure if it's, he has an option. Right, and
it's like they both do. He could pick up the option, and the team has the right to be like, you know what?
We're not going to guarantee it or something like that.
We're not going to guarantee it.
So.
But it would be in their best interest to play him to figure out whether they want to keep staying or whether he wants to do it. So.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But my thinking is he's going to opt out either way. Because why am I going to opt in? Like, yeah, I'll take that 12.5 or whatever it is. And then you have the option to still say, you know what I mean? I'd rather just opt out or try to negotiate it before I opt out a guaranteed contract.
But I think that deadline is a one hard date anyway, because I don't think it's two separate dates. The deadline is June, whatever, 25th or whatever it is. So I don't think it's a situation where
it has to be a overlap. It has to be. It can't be the same day. He opts in, they opt out.
Yeah, so I don't know about the team thing. My understanding of his contract, I really thought it was just a player option that he has to make before June or July or whatever, 25th. I don't think about
his decision has to be made before the team does, basically.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure. I've never seen a contract structure where there's a team and a player option.
Right.
I heard Windhorst talking about it, and he was like, he's never seen a contract like this.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Yeah. I mean that's that's a different type of a contract. It's a little bit different than it's a different contract. But he's averaging this year 9.5 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, 3.9 assists per game. He's shooting 50% from the field and 30.4% from the 3-point line. That's what his numbers are for this season. In the past, he's averaged 14 points per game. Last year he averaged 14.9 points per game. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 21-22. He averaged for the season 14.9 points per game, but he averaged 19.9 in Portland. He averaged 13.4 in New Orleans. And still, a strong rebounder, 7.2 rebounds a game last season, shot 34% from the field last season. Do you think he's worth more than $13 million on the market? I guess that's my question. When you're talking about him opting out and would he opt out of the contract, is he worth more than that? Or does he think he's worth more than that?
I think more than even if he's not, let's say even if he's not worth 12, can he get a 3-year 33 or a 3-year 30? You know what I mean? We'll have some security. A lot of times players will opt out of a 1-year contract that may be worth more than their average base salary if they could get a 3-year contract that gives them security and ends up being more than you know what I mean, what they would be making after they take that 1 year, if they took it. If I'm making sense to you. Basically the same thing I was saying Chris Paul would do. Opt out of the 47, take the 3-year 100 million. But I'm talking about smaller scale of
right.
47 million. Yeah,
I know what you're saying now.
Yeah.
My question is, the Knicks are currently over the salary cap. I know the salary cap's going to go up next season. Even with this move, they're still going to be over the salary cap. Not over the luxury tax, but over the salary cap. So if they allow him to go to unrestricted free agency, they lose his bird rights. Will they be able to?
Right.
Well, they also have Derrick Rose and them coming off the books anyway. So I think they could probably wiggle him in there. But just a question with the cap situation. Will the Knicks be able to? Because they can extend him if they have his bird rights before that deadline or whatever. But if they let him go to unrestricted free agency, are they going to have enough money to then sign him to an extension? And how much money will they have available to do that?
And
they're not able to go over the salary cap if they are if he's unrestricted.
And you got to think that the front office, I truly believe. I mean, I don't think these guys are idiots. You got to think that they already discussed all this. They know the contract. They know what's going on. They've probably talked about like, hey, if this guy balls out like he's been in the past, I mean, an extension is not it's not something that we're against, And talking about a first round pick, I mean, you just don't throw first round picks out of nowhere, And if and make sure it's protected. Even so, I mean, who knows who's it coming from? So you got to think that this is going to be an investment. For this guy's only 27 years old, so he fits a timeline of our team. And if you just look at his track record, the guy can play. He's not a scrub, and by any means, he can play, and he's a Tibbs guy. And this whole debate about, well, he's going to play or not, guys, he plays defense. Last time I checked, we need perimeter defense, and Tibbs loves guys that play defense. See, if he arguably is probably one of our second or third best defenders now on the team.
I ain't even stepped foot on the court yet, Nate. No, okay.
I've seen this guy. It doesn't matter, man. Like,
no, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
The track record proves. Yeah.
I'm not doubting Josh Hart as a player. I think, again, as a player, it's a tremendous pickup. It's just that I don't know what Tibbs' priorities are as far as why he went to the 9-man rotation. That's a question that's just unanswered for me. And if I knew that I don't think it
matters though, because I feel like whether it goes back to 10, or stays at 9. Josh Hart is going to be in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. No, but that's my concern is not necessarily if Josh Hart's going to play or not. My concern is it going to come at the expense of some of the younger players like Deuce McBride?
It probably will.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. If it's 9-man rotation, it's going to have to come at the expense of Deuce or somebody else like that, which is okay. That's what Tibbs wants to do. It's fine. But my question is unanswered in regards to whether Tibbs feels like the Knicks are not deep enough, or whether he just wants to coach with a 9-man rotation, period.
I think the 9-man rotation thing is really about just tightening things up. Everybody knows their roles. Like we seen it. Even though we didn't automatically start winning games, once he went to the 9-man rotation, we played better as a team.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what he was looking for. So I don't think it was about not necessarily having faith in that 10th guy. You know what I mean? I think he went to 9, but nothing else changes. Stay ready. Be prepared. you'll get another opportunity. You know what I mean? All that stuff still fits.
So you think that applies? That'll apply. Moving forward, that applies to Deuce. If Deuce is out the rotation, stay ready.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Injuries happen.
Injuries
happen. Yeah.
If that's what Tibbs wants to do, I'm fine with it. I just was confused about whether that was the case or not. Whether he didn't think we were deep enough, or he just comfortable with not.
Yeah, and they asked him. They asked him yesterday. Me and Sim listened to the press conference after the game was over. He says, "I like the team," and I truly believe that he does like this team. He does like the makeup of this team. Now, he also said it's Leon's job. He's not going to step in on that way. And hey, every general manager is trying to improve their team. You just look at the Lakers, what they did today. They got pieces.
Right. He did. He said he likes the team. He said he likes his young players. See, I actually feel that him cutting it down to a 9-man rotation, I do feel like it was personnel. I feel like that he thought Evan Fournier, even Cam Reddish, Derrick Rose just didn't bring it tough enough on the defensive side. That's what I feel. You know what I mean? And, when you look at, he's a wing player, and it was a wing position that is a wing position of need. And to me, Josh Hart is the kind of guy that I think Tibbs wants out there on the floor. Hard-nosed, tough. When you look at it, if you got Emmanuel Quickley, who's playing great defense right now, Deuce McBride is playing great defense right now, and Josh Hart, that's, coming off your bench, that's a pretty tough-nosed defensive squad right there coming off your bench.
So you think he goes to 10? So you think he goes to 10?
I think he'll go to 10. I think
Dude.
See what I'm saying, Tony?
Yeah. I'm like you said, I'm okay with either one.
Either
you know what I mean? And you could go to 10, and one guy's minutes are 5 minutes a game. Technically 10 people play. You know what I mean? So I could definitely see that as well. Like Deuce's minutes early on, it was only like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Little spot minutes here, 3 minutes here, 2 minutes here. And I'm not pushing that. I'm just giving an example of how it was before. I could see that happening. But if he goes to 10, does that negate RJ running with that second unit?
I think so.
I don't think so.
No. See, I think it does. I think it does.
It would have to.
Yeah, it would have to. It would have to negate RJ running with that second unit, unless, of course.
What if they want to play small ball, Sim?
Or at the end of games when you want to have Quickly on the floor.
Yeah, Hartenstein at the 5 or RJ at a small 4.
Yeah. You say that again. You said, what about when they want to play small ball?
Yeah, so this is my theory. I think that I could see a situation where Deuce, Hart, and Quickly are on the bench playing, and then Hartenstein's at the 5, and they play RJ at the 4. If they want to keep Obi. A starter in there, and no Obi, yeah, I think Obi falls out of the rotation. So I really do.
So you're going back to the 9-man rotation.
I think, yeah, in a sense, yes, I do. I really do. But I just think that this is kind of a message to Obi, because I really think Obi's kind of the weakest link on the bench. I don't know how much Tibbs trust has in Obi, and I could see if Tibbs wants to keep a starter off on the bench, with the bench. Yeah, I could see it going to small ball type.
Here's why I might be leaning towards what Sim says. He may consider Josh Hart a starter on the bench.
Yep, I believe so.
He may consider him like that starter presence, that veteran presence, where maybe he doesn't need to sacrifice, RJ's minutes in the second unit, or even
he could easily be the 6th man. Yeah, he could easily be the 6th man.
Second unit, even though I could also see him still putting Brunson in with that second unit and having him get some minutes with Hart.
You'll probably see that at the end of the games, man.
I can definitely see that. I don't think that means that it won't be a 10-man rotation. It's just, maybe some people's minutes get cut a little bit short. But I could definitely see him going with, making sure that he and, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson get some time together on the floor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that would probably only make sense. You know what I mean? Just as you guys, and it totally slipped my brain, but you guys remind me of it, since they have history of playing together. You know what I mean? It only makes sense that you put them out there on the floor together.
That's what I'm saying. In situations where the game is close, I think that because of his strong perimeter defense, you could see him and Brunson at the end of games. And maybe Grimes is either Grimes out there or RJ's not out there or somebody. I mean, I don't know that dealer's choice
but
there.
I just don't think that changes from. Well, I don't want to say changes. I don't think that stops him from running with a 10-man rotation. I think he can still run with a 10-man rotation. It's going to depend on when you play him, because I think even he and the front office knows that if you're playing for this team to be able to be healthy enough down the stretch of the season, you gotta use your lineup. You know what I mean? And so it's like, give me some guys that I trust putting out there, right? Go get me somebody that I can put out there. So I think he goes back to a 10-man rotation. And if it doesn't last the entire season, the entire rest of the season, at least initially, maybe he goes back to it, just so that you don't automatically just bump somebody out. Just bam, they're just gone, right?
Yeah, that's a good point too. It kind of, whether it's real or not, it gives the perception of a fair, you know what I mean? Yeah. A fair grace period.
Right.
Where, hey, he outplayed you. You know what I mean? Like he worked his way into this spot.
Exactly.
I ain't just give it to him.
But I don't think it's going to be very long to see him, like, once Tibbs sees that defense and, and let's be honest, our perimeter defense has not been the greatest in the world at times, and this guy is pretty good on the perimeter. He's going to get minutes just because of that. And the fact that he can score too, Can
I ask a question? Is there any chance that Hart starts?
Not
if Brunson gets hurt.
Not immediately.
Yeah, I think not immediately. I agree. Not immediately.
Just like you were saying, he might have to earn his way into it. You know what I mean? Like whether, like it might be on Tibbs' brain already, but he won't do that off the jump.
But who would he bump? He loves Grimes.
Well, that was going to be my follow up.
That would probably be who we ended up.
Yeah, it would have to be Grimes.
I could see down the line him going with Hart to start games, and then even going with Hart and Grimes to close games.
But the problem is, if you bump Grimes, in the starting lineup, I mean, Grimes is a good shooter. Like, he can hit the three, and Hart is shooting what, like 30? You said 34% or 30% from the field this year?
So far
30 for the
season.
year. He's
30 for a year, yeah.
34. But that's why we're saying not immediately.
Right.
And again, he's been trending up in his 3-point shooting this year as the year went on. You know what I mean? Right. So if he comes in and he's hot to start and he's hot for a month, you know what I mean, then it gives that leeway to be like, all right, forget what he was doing before here. This is what I've seen him do. This is what I've watched him do in practice, and then he can earn the spot. Right. But yeah, there's no way he just jumps into that.
It's a good problem to have for Tibbs, because now he's got options and he can roll different rotations out, and he's got another defender out there. So I think it's a good problem he has right now, because he's got all the young players playing on a good level right now. And then you add a veteran who's only going to help the young players, because he did that with Portland. And then, like I said, he's a plug and play player. He can defend and score. So you can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah. So they traded one of Jalen Brunson's buddies for another one of his buddies. and we'll see if, if Archdiakono sticks over there in Portland, and if because you remember a couple of years ago, last year they kept signing them and waving them, and waving them, and then it was like, what's going on with this? What's up with this guy?
I think one, because Hart was Brunson's backcourt mate.
Yep.
And Archie was kind of like the guy under his wing.
Right.
I think they made the right. You know what I mean? They got rid of the apprentice, if you will. And got his wingman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to remember, Villanova's like the team with the smallest guards. So now, at times they play like forward.
Yeah. So now go get Sadiq Bey.
Oh man.
Well, here's the thing, Sam, and this is what I was actually.
But then that means Obi, How
about DiVincenzo? Come on, go get DiVincenzo.
Here's the thing,
though. We don't
need
that kind of wing. We just got Josh Hart. You don't need DiVincenzo now. You
play defense. You can play defense. We need anybody who can play defense.
And he shoots. But we got rid of 2 players or 3 players?
3 players. 3 players.
Well, 3, yeah.
We opened up 2 spots, 2 roster spots. So Sadiq Bey might be on that waiver wire. So I don't think it's I've been
you have to give another first rounder.
I've been reading all types of reports out there for the past week.
That'd be crazy if Detroit decided to waive him. In my opinion, that would be crazy. I'm not saying you're not reading. I'm just saying it would be crazy if they did that.
I said the same thing, but
he's young and he's been balling. How are they going to waive him?
It's not going to cost them anything, and they're actively trying to move him now. So if they can't move him, again, this is what I read. He's on that list of potential buyout candidates. If
somebody's going to trade for him, man.
He's only making like 2-point-something million too, I believe.
Yeah. He's on his rookie contract. I don't think they'll waive him.
Right.
Somebody will trade for him, man. He's too talented to be waived.
The thing is, they only got until 3:00. So
I think now that the Knicks have some roster spots open, I think it opens up the door for Arcidiacono to come back. Mm-hmm. He is on a non-guaranteed, right, or something like that, or one of those.
Can you sign? You can sign a player if they're waived after you traded them. You just can't.
I think it's like a moratorium.
No. He'll be on the waiver wire. I think Portland is over their roster limit anyway. Because they added 3 players and they got rid of 1. So I don't know if Arcidiacono is going to get waived or someone else that they have, and the Knicks can be able to pick him back up and bring him back on the squad that way.
I understand what you're saying. My question was, because I know there's restrictions when you trade a player, you just can't trade for them again. I thought you had to wait a year before even signing them, whether they're waived or not. Because matter of fact, I'm not sure of that.
I think that's only with guaranteed contracts. Arcidiacono is not a guaranteed contract, so they can waive him.
Is Theo Pinson available?
Hold on, real quick. But what I do want to say is, I know, again, before the season, we were talking about how deep the Knicks are and what we think about the Knicks being deep. And already at this point in the season, there's questions about whether Tibbs feels that way. So I just want to say, we have to wait and see how this all plays out. Is Tibbs going to stick with the 9-man rotation, or is he going to open it up to 10? Traditionally, he's been a 9-man rotation guy. In Chicago, he was that way. In Minnesota, he was that way. And that he has developed that on the Knicks, right? Whether, we like it or not, I don't feel indifferent about it one way or another. That's just who he is, right? If he opens it up to 10, fine. He's, adjusted and make that happen. But I think we have to look at the real possibility that the Knicks acquired this player who is a rental, no guarantee that he's coming back next season. And there could be an argument made that it may be at the expense of Deuce or one of the younger players, which in the past, that has been an issue for this team. People are going to complain about it. So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, if I like Deuce and I like what he's done, you know what I mean?
Same.
But to me, this is the road of a guy like Deuce. This is the road. The road. You know what I mean? You're in the lineup and you're playing. Oh, they made a move. All right, I'm taking the back seat again. Somebody gets hurt or, whatever happens, I'm back in the lineup again. That's the life of most young players in the NBA. Obviously you got your star players and someone who comes in like quickly who automatically claims his spot, because he's talented and things like that. Not to say that Deuce isn't talented, but possesses a different talent than what Deuce does. So me, I look at it as part of the developmental arc of a player. You know what I mean? So if that's me, I understand what you're saying, though. There will be people who are like, oh my God, now he's coming in and da-da-da. You know, I get
Especially if Deuce is helping us win.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Deuce is helping us right now. Very, very vital on what we do as far as pressing, full court, you know, passing lane, stuff like that. Deuce is helping us in that regard, helping us win games. So I think that's where most of the focus, like, if the Knicks are winning with Josh Hart, I don't think it'll matter. Right. But if, you know, the Knicks don't win, you know, I just think that question is always going to be there.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Tibbs plays.
I still think though, you know what I mean? You know, at the beginning of this year, he went with a 10-man rotation. You know, last year he started off with a 10-man rotation. When you look at the guys that he cut out, it was guys that didn't play defense. Right? Kemba Walker got cut out the rotation, you know, because of the defensive thing. Evan Fournier, you know, I don't know if the Cam Reddish thing was totally defense. There was obviously some other things. Derrick Rose, I think, is defense and, you know, production. I really feel like he may just rock with a 10-man rotation. At least from the beginning, he will.
Or cut out the weak link out of all the guards, who is Archie.
Come on, Josh. That is not happening. Come on, Josh. That is not happening, man.
First of all, that wouldn't be an immediate thing. And if he did that, we won't see him like go to the doghouse. We'll see him sitting in the fourth quarter at times.
Yep. You might see him sitting on the bench and Spencer to Josh Hart.
His minutes reduced like Fournier did last year. You know what I mean? Where you didn't really know how many minutes he was gonna play on a given night. So I could see that, but he ain't gonna.
I'm just saying you can't talk in absolutes with this coach. Like, it's a lot of things that we don't know. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
I think if anything, this is a wake up call for RJ and Grimes, knowing that you guys said he's a starter. Basically, he's coming off the bench. So, you know, those are probably the two weakest players right now on our starting lineup, you know, at times. So, yeah, Hart could definitely step in to either one of those roles. So, you know, but it's going to take time. Yeah. They have to just see how they all gel together.
I feel like, you know, if at some point Josh Hart became a starter, it's not going to be this season unless somebody went down. You know what I mean? Right. It would, assuming that he's on the team next year and, you know, everything with his contract situation works itself out, he'd get that chance in training camp. You know what I'm saying? Right. But you also got to look at if you're talking about RJ being the odd person out, you know, now you got a small, you know, Josh with the little facetious, devilish laugh. You know, now you talk about a small, you know, Brunson, 6'4" Hart, 6'5" Quentin Grimes. That's small. Might be scrappy, but it's small.
Tibbs likes that.
You know
Tibbs likes that. And I'm not advocating for the RJ thing. I'm just saying I don't think it's fully about defense, or in this case, lack thereof, that takes a player out of the rotation. Because RJ, he's our worst defender. Yeah. He is.
I don't think you're taking RJ out of the starting lineup. New York will go crazy. I think if anybody it could be replaced in the starting lineup, it's probably Grimes, because, you know, I don't know who's a better defender right now, either Grimes or Hart. I mean, I'd have to look. I don't know what their defensive ratings are, but like I said, Hart's got more experience. You know, he's played longer. Tibbs likes those veterans at times. You know, once he kind of gets a feel of Hart, I think he's going to fall in love with this guy, you know, and he's going to want him out there. So I think Grimes, if anybody, because he's a young guy, and hey, him coming off the bench, not a bad thing either. Hey, we need that boost either way, you know.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. You know what I mean? Not a bad thing at all.
My question to you guys, or Sim in particular, but all you guys, do you think we're done? Do you think there's another move before 3 p.m.?
I think Evan gets traded.
I don't think I think they're probably still negotiating, you know, and maybe trying to figure out something for Derrick Rose. I'll say this. I don't know. Okay. The only way, in my opinion, do they bring back another rotational piece is if Obi or Hartenstein or someone like that is moved, right? And so, so you'd be looking at a 4 or a 5, right? I don't know that they're going to bring in another 5 because you got Jericho Sims, right? You got Hartenstein. So it would be the 4 position if they're gonna bring in another rotation piece, in my opinion. So if they're looking to move Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose, I think it would be, for picks or some guys that's gonna somebody's bad contract or something like that that's gonna hang out at the end of the bench. It's not gonna be anything that adds any additional salary, in my opinion, or adds more years. You know what I mean? Which may, for Evan Fournier, that may make it kind of tricky to move Evan Fournier. Derrick Rose might be a little bit different. His contract expires this season. You know what I mean? There could be a place the Milwaukee Bucks, I've read, were interested in Derrick Rose. So that could be a place that he could land. It's close to Chicago. So he wouldn't be he'd probably be okay with that.
And it's a contender.
They
still got Serge and Nwora. Is that the dude's name? I'm trying to think. Whose salaries would kind of match up.
Yeah.
So what's the point of doing that though? That type of trade. There's no point.
That's just really taking care of Rose. They're interested in him, and it, like Sim said, it's close to home. You know what I mean? That's really just taking care of Rose. I don't know if that kid Noir would see any minutes or not.
Yeah. So I think the only way another rotational piece comes is if Obi is moved, in my opinion, right? And you're bringing a 4 that's a better defender and maybe fits the way that Tom Thibodeau wants to play, et cetera, et cetera. That's the only way that I see another kind of big move, if you want to call it, happening. Because if not, if you bring in another, if you move Evan Fournier, say, for another rotational piece, now what?
Right. If it's a 3, if it's 2, it fits as well. Granted, we're in that dilemma that Josh was speaking of, where Deuce gotta, take his step back. Or Obi.
Right. Like if you make a move for a 4 that should be playing, that's a rotational guy. Yeah. Now you're looking at Obi, going to the bench, and so I think they want to. I would think that they want to try to keep it kind of as clean as possible. You know what I'm saying? So, we're not going to bring in another 4 that's going to be competing. Now it's 3 4s competing. It's like, we're bringing a guy. If we're going to bring in one, if we were to bring in Sadiq Bey, Obi would probably be gone.
Or 3-4, which still works.
Yeah.
Sadiq could play the 3 and the 4. I could see him playing alongside Obi.
I honestly think that we're going to be looking for a 4-man in the draft. I think that's going to be our number 1 priority going into the draft, is probably trying to find a replacement for Obi. So I think that, they could make a move, but how many 4-men are out there that, you can get on the cheap, or somebody's going to trade their guy? They're kind of hard to find, especially if they can shoot. They're not going to go anywhere.
My man Bobby Santiago said, we're going to get Sadiq or end up giving up the farm for Anunoby. It's going to happen. I don't know what the farm is, not exactly sure what the farm is for OG Anunoby, but I don't know that the Knicks are going to have. They just gave up one of those draft picks to get Josh Hart. You know what I mean? So that lessens, even though, it's highly protected and probably wasn't one of their draft picks, that's something that could have been used in another trade for a guy like OG Anunoby. So I think the OG Anunoby thing is out the window.
Yeah.
Which, we brought back the kind of guy that I thought we needed to bring back, and making a move. You know what I mean?
Sam,
and they rejected 3 first round. Oh, sorry, goes Josh.
No, Sam, to answer your question in regards to what the Knicks are going to do, I think they still remain conservative. If they, I think Fournier is going to be hard to move him. You got to give up a first round pick in order to get off his contract. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that, considering they just gave up one for Hart. Derrick Rose, I can see them making a trade of Derrick Rose, like Tony said, to a contender like Milwaukee. But the thing is, Milwaukee and those type of contenders are tax-paying teams, so you have to make the money work. They have to send the same money back, right? And if it's a player, let's say, that has a contract that goes beyond this year, like Jordan Nwora, I think Jordan Nwora still has another year left, then we get a pick back because we're taking on the longer contract. So that's a possibility, something small like that.
Right.
But I don't know if any team is really going to want to use Derrick Rose the way we think. I think Derrick Rose is just going to, expiring contract, team doesn't pick it up. And then, so basically I think the Knicks are done.
For the most part, if the team is inquiring and looking to trade for the guy, I'm assuming they're going to use him. But we seen what happened last year with Cam, so who knows?
Yeah.
And he's an expiring contract. I think that's the real incentive, the fact that he is an expiring contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
And also, too, I think the last game showed that Evan still has some value on this team. Now, he's a terrible defender, but the fact is the guy can shoot. He can shoot, and he can get hot. And if one of our guys go down, you can throw him into the rotation. So I actually think that they're gonna hold on to him, and unless they get like something really like good that says, hey, we want Evan Fournier or something like that, and we're willing to offer you this. I still think they keep him because you just never know if injuries happen and stuff like that. You keep that guy because the guy can shoot, and shooting's hard to find in the NBA at times.
Yeah.
And is Hart's defense good enough to offset Deuce's defense where it could open up space for Fournier? So now you got to quickly Hart Fournier, Obi Hartenstein in a 10-man rotation. Still gives you that defense, and now you could utilize Fournier's shooting, and maybe he becomes less of a liability next to a guy like Hart.
Right.
Still has the size advantage, so maybe you even put him on a slower 2 guard if that's who's on the opposing team. I mean, just options of where we could continue to use him.
Well,
I feel bad.
Fournier doesn't think we're going to play. He's going to play.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I feel bad for him.
Fournier knows
he knows
what's
he's
going
not going
on.
to play. He's not going to play.
He got some classic quotes, man. That one night stand, a fun one night stand.
Yeah.
Like,
he knows. I'm pretty sure they've had the conversation. I mean, coming in Tom Thibodeau's first year, right? Everyone said, listen, he basically lets you know how much you're going to be playing, He has that conversation. So guys know. Evan Fournier knows, I came in, I did my thing for one night. I'm going back to the bench. He knows what's going on. You know what I mean? Clavins Durachi, hopefully I said your name correctly. He said, maybe we're trading IQ and getting a first-round pick. Can you pay both IQ and Josh Hart?
Bird rights.
That's interesting.
I mean, when you look right now for IQ, I don't think you have to
pay him until the 5 more year.
Yeah, I think you still got some time. Yeah. I think you still got some time with IQ.
People always just talk about the extension because he becomes extension eligible next or after the season. But eligible, you know what I mean? Like,
doesn't even have to pay you.
That means nothing. That just means it can happen this early. It's not obligated. It's not a slap in the face every time somebody doesn't get an extension. I don't think we got to worry about it.
Yeah, so when you're talking about Emmanuel Quickley, he makes $2.3 million this year, $4.1 million next season, and then in 24-25, there's a qualifying offer for 6.1. Right, so you do have a little bit of time before you really have to worry about what you're doing with Emmanuel Quickley. But Emmanuel Quickley is Tom Thibodeau's guy, though. If Tom Thibodeau is here, I think Emmanuel Quickley, the Knicks are going to find a way to keep Emmanuel Quickley here. Tom Thibodeau's here, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's one of his guys that he loves putting out there on the floor.
But it does bring an interesting point, like bringing in a guy like Josh Hart who can score off the bench just like Quickley can. Probably is a better defender than Quickley. I do agree with you that Tibbs does love Quickley, but this shot selection, I'm not liking it.
But it's a young dude. He's learning. His shot selection has been way better this season, though. Come on,
it's gotten better. It's gotten better.
He's gonna do his thing every once in a while, but his shot selection has been pretty good. He's played a pretty controlled game this season, man.
What is he shooting this year, Sim? What's his shooting percentage?
I'm not exactly what his shooting percentages are right now. I'd have to look it up. Okay. I can look it up. But he's been playing good basketball.
Thank you, Sam. People living in the past, like we not watching how well he's probably been our most developed player in you know what I mean, in the tenure.
Yeah, he's playing good basketball, and his defense has been tough. His defense has been tough. Really, really tough.
Rebounds good.
Yeah.
Like,
and why would you not want to put Josh Hart and Quickly out there together so that you can have that type of defense out there on the floor? You know what I mean? You want your bench to be as strong as possible. There's ways to pay these guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's ways to make sure that these guys get paid. We see teams do it all the time. When someone comes to MSG, the Bucks or somebody, and they got all these guys coming off the bench, and you're like, God dang, like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? There's ways to pay these guys. They can figure it out. You know what I mean?
The Knicks own the bird rights too. As long as it's before for the deadline for Josh Hart, they can extend him before then, right? And have his bird rights and go over the salary cap to do so. Same with Quickly. There's a video out. Jalen Brunson got his number retired at Villanova today or tonight.
Yep.
And all the Knicks were in attendance.
His reaction.
But his reaction to the Josh Hart trade. And it happened at Villanova. I just thought that was pretty cool watching him have the reaction. So it's on Twitter for those who have it.
What do you think about some of the other moves that went down today?
Lakers, man.
Right? The Los Angeles
Lakers always.
I'm starting to think there's a conspiracy. Like, the Lakers just get these deals and, like, everybody else, like, you got what for what?
Yeah, so the Lakers, Jazz, and Timberwolves finalized the trade that sent D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt to Los Angeles. Russell Westbrook and a first-round pick to Utah, and Mike Conley and a second-round pick to Minnesota.
Timberwolves.
Right? I mean, the Lakers, they got a nice little haul there. D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared
Three good players, man.
You know what I'm saying?
They got young Westbrook, and they got their athletic.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for Westbrook and a first-round pick. That's
I don't like it, and I feel like the Timberwolves are always giving away. They always taking the short end of the short straw. You know what I mean? So you give up D'Lo for Conley?
He's more heady and more steady, I think. I don't think D'Lo fit well with that team.
Guess what they just did? And I hope we don't go after him. But they just opened the door for Cat to leave.
I think he's already leaving.
Which team got the first round pick?
Utah.
Okay, they retooling.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota.
I guess Minnesota just want to shed salary, I guess.
Yeah.
And the Lakers don't have any picks till 2029. They're completely depleted.
Right.
So.
Do you think that Westbrook gets bought out?
I think so. I don't.
No reason to.
Huh?
They don't have to rush into it
now. They don't want to win.
I mean, they don't have to, but I don't think me personally, I don't think he wants to be in Utah.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
Sam, would you trade if you was the Timberwolves, would you trade Anthony Edwards for Devin Booker?
Would I trade Anthony Edwards for Devin Booker if I was the Timberwolves?
Oh, because he's best friends with Cat.
And I'm gonna put the contingency if that was how you could keep Cat, because I think Cat is gonna be the next one to request a trade.
I mean, that's a tough one because Anthony Edwards, I think, is going to be a star in this league. I really do.
I agree.
I think he's going to be a star. That's a tough one. You know what I mean? If
I also like the fit of Booker, Cat, and Gobert.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and it's crazy because I was thinking to myself, from the Knicks, I'm glad that the Knicks made this trade because I was thinking if Russell Westbrook gets bought out, should the Knicks try to
Don't say it.
sign
Don't say
Russell Westbrook, as a player to come off the bench. You know what I mean?
Still
as as a energy, obviously he's gonna bring energy, he's gonna bring some fire, he can give you buckets. You know what I mean? And it was just I was thinking like, is that something that they should consider doing? Now that they got Josh Hart, obviously, that's nothing that's gonna be going down. And I'm glad, I'd rather have Josh Hart than Russell Westbrook because of the fit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In the way that they fit together. Yeah, so, I mean, I think this is going to be a good move for the Knicks. It's not something that puts them in, championship contention and all of that stuff, but I think it is a nice move that gives them more depth, adds to the defensive intensity of the team, gives you a guy who's smart, who knows how to make plays, understands how to play basketball. He's got some chemistry with Jalen Brunson already. I think this is a really, really good move. Also, it's another way that, you see how Leon Rose and those guys really value connections.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? All of the moves that they do, there's a connection somewhere. Somehow, somewhere, there's connections, right? I mean, they really do value connections.
Personally, Sam, I mean, I think on the face of it, it looks like a good move, but I think the results will determine whether it's a good move or not.
Right.
Because there's still a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah. I think that's with every move, though, right?
I think it's
no, but I think this one's a little bit different. I think this one's a little bit different. I mean, of course, every move.
I mean, every move is going to be based on if it garners results or not.
Because there's different goals in every move. Like I said, I don't know what the goal for the Knicks organization is with this particular move. I don't know what their goal is. Like, again, and it's because of those unanswered questions. And Tony's about to come get me, like, jump on my neck. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just saying we have to wait and see and figure out what the Knicks are trying to do. Why the reason they did this.
I think they're building. They're building a team. They
already have a team.
The only way,
but they're getting better.
The only way it becomes a bad move, like a lot of things got to happen for it to be bad. Number one, Cam has to go to Portland, get a role, excel in it. One, we have to falter the rest of the season. That's if that pick is even our own, and then end up losing it somehow. You know what I mean? So it ends up conveying as a first round pick. Like all those. Then we got to lose Josh Hart. He opts out. So I think all those things have to happen combined for it to be.
I'm not even worried about Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish wasn't going to work out here anyway. Because
exactly.
So I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking about if the Josh Hart staying. That's number one. Basically, we traded a first round pick. If he decides to walk, we traded a first round pick for money coming off the books, $12 million coming off the books this season, right? That's really what I'm talking about right there. Second part, is he going to get playing time, right? And if he does get playing time, does Tibbs extend? Hold on. Does Tibbs extend the rotation to 10 people to allow Deuce to still play, right? I think that's the other part. And that'll answer some of those questions that we have. I'm not, again, this move is not taking us over the top. I don't think this wins us a first round playoff series. So I'm not even talking about success of the team at this point. I'm just talking about the reason why they made the move. That's the part that we don't really truly understand yet. There's a lot of unanswered questions surrounding it. And that's what I'm saying. We have to wait and see.
To get rid of Cam, I think that was a priority. And then it also improved us at the same time. So I think, to me, it was a no-brainer, a win-win.
Exactly, because
because we could have did a move. We could have traded Cam for another player who's not going to be in the rotation. Because I don't think him being in the rotation, we got to worry about that at all. You know what I mean? He's a veteran. He plays defense. He's a Tibbs type player. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think it's a question of if.
Yeah, and the thing is,
we said the same thing about Cam Reddish, though. That's all I'm saying. There's no you can't make any guarantees with this coach. You just can't.
But Hart has played more than Cam did. Cam was like a second-year guy. Hart's been in the league for I don't know how many years. I mean,
what are the question marks on Josh Hart?
None.
That's my point.
Yeah, no. I'm not questioning Josh Hart. Again, this is not specifically about.
No, I know,
Josh
but there were question marks about Cam. Me being a Cam fan, I knew that coming in. There were question marks.
But Josh, if you look at it from this standpoint, like we are better because we traded away 3 players that aren't even playing for us. They do nothing for us, and you bring in a six starter that you can plug in if we get into a pinch with one of our guys injury wise. Now I do agree with you on the fact that he leaves at the end of the season. Yes, we gave up a first round pick. Playing time, dude, he's going to play. I promise you, he's going to play.
If it conveys.
Listen, I'm not arguing Josh Hart and who he is and the type. I'm not arguing his credentials. That's not what I'm doing at all. Again, like I said, I have questions about the organization and why they made the move. In time, we will be able to figure those out.
If the picks don't convey and Josh walks, was it a bad trade?
Yes, because we could have kept the pick. If they're going to convey at some point,
they go to 4 second round picks and they don't use it.
4 seconds. So you're saying it was a loss?
Yeah, because we lost draft assets ultimately.
Well, I personally, I feel like, when you look at the situation of, Josh Hart's contract, Cam Reddish, and all those guys that were traded, their money could have came off the books this year too, right? Their money could have came off the books. All you had to do was not give a qualifying offer to Cam Reddish, and the other guy's money could have came off the books. So I don't think, with that being said, Josh Hart is basically the same thing, except he has a little bit more power to opt in. It's still kind of a weird situation, right? He can opt in, but then there's another option deadline, I guess, for the Knicks. Still kind of a weird situation there. You know what I mean? But when you look at it, I think they probably look at it because, before the trade goes down, he has a conversation with the Knicks, have a conversation with the agent, would you guys, pick up the option, all, those type of things go down within the conversation. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I feel like the Knicks look at him and say, we're making this move. We're going to try to keep him for 2 years. That's what I think. I think this year, next year, at least. And then because I think they look at him and say, he could be a piece that we think this is a piece that fits what Tom Thibodeau likes to do. I'm hoping that they spoke with Tom Thibodeau. And of course, this is all speculation. Who knows? You know what I mean? So it is something that's still kind of up in the air. But I do think there was a little bit more, purpose behind it. When you look at the kind of guys, they were pretty
thorough,
intentional in the type of guys that they were looking at, right? When you talk about Grayson Allen, you heard rumors about him. Obviously, Josh Hart ends up with the Knicks. Talking about OG Anunoby, right? Defensive guys that can score the basketball too. Wings, right? So I think it was more intentional than I think the Cam Reddish thing was kind of let's see if we can,
make something happen.
Yeah, let's see if we can make something happen with him, right?
But even
bringing RJ's teammate,
I'm sure they spoke to his people, his agents. They and said, hey, we'll find playing time for him, right? They may not have spoken to Tibbs initially, right? But come the offseason, this past offseason, I think it became aware to Tibbs that we gotta showcase him, whether it's to move him, whether it's to see what we have in him, whether it's because, hey, when we traded for him, I spoke to the agent. We told him we're gonna give him a fair shot, and I think Tibbs had to oblige to that as much as he could. And once he said, "All right, I gave you your spotlight," I gave him his showcase. I did right by him.
To appease Tony, because I know Tony doesn't like the failure and the Knicks in the same sentence. He hates that when I do that. When I do that, he always does. I know. But hold on, Tony. I'm going to make you feel better right now. Even if this move is a failure, based on some of the things that I said, the goals, whatever, it's nothing catastrophic. It's a swing. It's a swing the back kind of move. Very similar to Cam Reddish. The Knicks will be fine, right? I think they'll be okay regardless of whether this works out or not. Because they still have more picks left. Right. I mean, but it's not a big swing, right?
That made me feel better.
It's a strike one. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I still, because I'm reading a lot of people in the chat say that it's the Knicks pick that was traded, right? And it has the protections on it. The only thing I don't like about that, I know there's protections on it, that could turn it into second round picks if it doesn't convey this season. And so who knows how much, what the protections are, right?
I think it's lottery protected, and then after that, it goes straight to 4 picks.
Right. So if it doesn't convey this season, next year it goes to 4 picks. But now you can't trade next year's pick.
Yeah.
Seconds.
No, he's saying if the pick conveys this year, you can't trade next year's pick.
You can't trade back-to-back picks.
You can't trade next year. If it's because it's the New York Knicks pick, you can't trade next year's pick. So if something were to happen, you can't trade a pick now until you can trade the 2025 pick.
We gotta stay out the lottery.
So
I mean, but I'm just talking about future moves. If Devin Booker became available, right? You can't trade 2024's pick. You got to trade 2025's pick.
If we stay out the lottery, the pick conveys, Tony.
Yeah. That's right.
So if it is our pick, then I think that answers kind of some of the questions that they're serious about this guy, and it's more likely an extension is probably in play to keep this guy because you're not just talking about a first-round pick. You're talking about our pick. So I think that carries more weight.
Yeah.
Let me throw it back to Tony now about what I was saying before.
Well, that was my initial concern from the beginning as well. That first round pick, because like Sim said, we can't trade our next year, so we got to start in 25. The good thing about that is we got 2 in 25, and it's most likely going to convey. So whether we start with our own in 25. Or we start with Milwaukee's in 25 and then our own in 26.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the only thing. But you know what? The Knicks may not have wanted to trade next year's pick anyway, because that's the one year we only have one.
That's true. Very true.
So you know what I mean? They may have been under the consensus. We're not trading this pick no matter what anyway.
Right. And they have Dallas's pick this year that now that Kyrie is there, you pretty much you would think that it better convey this year, right? Unless Kyrie goes there and burns the place down.
Could happen.
And that was only lottery protected as well, too, right?
Correct.
That pick should convey. So, the Knicks should get that pick this season.
So is that confirmed, Sim? That it was our pick?
I'm looking at Woj's article right now.
I haven't seen it anywhere, but
that's what I heard initially as well, because they worded it as the Knicks putting the protections on it, and I don't know if you could put protections on already protected picks.
Right.
You know
the only thing that I don't know is like, was it a pick? And I don't remember any picks that would convey 4 first-round draft picks. 4 second-round draft picks this
immediately.
Season.
Exactly.
Yeah, I never heard of that. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? I don't.
it had to have been ours.
It had to, because that Detroit pick didn't convey that way. The Washington pick didn't convey that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are spread out to where, like, if the Knicks don't get it this year, then next year. If they don't get it next year, then maybe it conveys and it turns to second-round picks in like 2025 or 26 or something like that. So I think it would have to have been the Knicks pick. So, I've seen a couple people say it in the chat. I think they're probably right. It would have to be this year's pick that they moved on so that they can put those protections on it.
So Sim, kind of dumb it down for me a little bit. When you say convey, what do you mean? Like use it or?
No, when I say convey, that means that Portland is going to get the pick. And if it doesn't convey this year, then it turns into 4 second-round picks.
Basically, if we're in the lottery, they get 4. They get 4 second-round picks. If we're out of the lottery, they get our pick.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you for complaining that. You kept saying convey. I was like, I know I've heard that word before, but I didn't really understand the whole terminology behind it. So thank you.
I think it's safe to say, I mean, God forbid something catastrophic, the pick will convey this year, because I don't foresee us being in the lottery. So it looks like right now we only have the Dallas pick, which should convey, the Detroit pick, which won't convey, and there's one more
top 8 team. Oh, the Washington.
pick. Washington, which is still up in the air.
That's up in the air.
If they make the play-in and then the playoffs, it will convey. If they make the play-in but lose, it won't convey.
I thought it was top 18 protected or something like that.
Oh, is it 18?
Yeah, I thought it was top 18 protected.
It is 18 for Washington, right?
For Washington, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's top 18 protected.
So 12.
So
there's a possibility we might not have a draft pick.
So they'd have to fall. No, we're gonna have a draft pick.
No, we're gonna have
that Dallas pick
for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, the Knicks are gonna have that Dallas pick.
It's 30 teams, right?
So for Washington, like if it goes to, if they're good enough to where they've got the 19th pick, that'd be the Knicks pick. You know what I mean?
So they would have to be 11 teams ahead of them, right?
Yeah. I mean,
let's start scouting the bottom of the draft.
They would have to be,
Well, actually, no. It'd be
no, not 11.
18 picks ahead of them. 18 draft picks ahead of them.
At least outside the lottery.
Yeah, like 11. Yeah, somewhere around there. Well, I don't know if it'll convey.
They're saying top 14 in the
top 14. I thought it was top 18 protected, but it could be top 14 protected.
Yeah, I thought it was 14 too, because I was doing the math last night, and I'm like, if they become the 8th seed, there's a chance we can get that pick.
Yeah. But it seems as though the Knicks did move.
Detroit is top 18.
Detroit's top 18. So there is a chance. I mean, so it does seem like it is the Knicks pick that was moved, which means they cannot move 2024 pick. They can start moving their picks again in 2025. But it could be like Tony said. They were like, hey, we only got one pick that year. We're keeping that pick regardless. We're not moving that pick.
Right.
To make sure that they have picks going forward.
Yeah, you don't want to be the Lakers without picks.
Yeah. So if you're just joining, ladies and gentlemen, you probably heard the Knicks traded Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono, Svi McCulloch, and a 2023 first-round pick that turns into 4 seconds, if not conveyed this year, for Josh Hart. Right? For Josh Hart. And Josh Hart, ladies and gentlemen, he makes $12.9 million this year. He has a player option for $12.9 million next year, which is fully guaranteed on June 25th, 2023. And then I guess there's also an option for the Knicks on June 25th, 2023. It's a weird situation, weird type of a contract. So it's something like, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be someone that goes a little bit deeper and breaks it down. But it seems right now that it's something like Josh Hart picks up his option, and then the Knicks have to say, okay, we're going to pick it up too, or they don't waive them or something like that. Either way, I think he'll be a Knick next year too. You know what I mean? Half a season, to me, half a season, just isn't enough to know if you how this guy. I mean, you're gonna see how he fits, and I think he's gonna, come in and Tom Thibodeau's gonna survey him, and maybe he'll probably play well, but you still need more time, right? I think.
I'm sorry. Wasn't the pick the Lakers gave up protected as well?
For the Westbrook thing?
Yeah.
I think it's 2027 unprotected. First round pick.
They figure they'll be still good.
I don't know. Part of me feels like Beasley and Vanderbilt.
Well, actually, lightly protected. So lightly protected. So maybe top 4, something like that.
I think it's top 5 protected or top 4 protected.
Part of me feels like they would have been better additions, but there's no way Danny Ainge was letting the Knicks get the same type of package.
Man, Danny Ainge, that dude, man. That dude is something else. I do want to say real quick, ladies and gentlemen, February 24th, just a couple of weeks away, MBK will be in Washington, D.C. for the Knicks versus the Wizards. We're just talking about the Washington Wizards and their pick that the Knicks have, which we hope will convey. Maybe not, but we hope it'll convey. But anyway, we'll be in D.C. on February 24th for the Knicks versus Wizards. Make sure that you come join us, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking over D.C. Knicks fans are. All right, I just put the link in the chat. It's pinned to the top of your YouTube chat. You can get tickets now, $135 per ticket. Section 114. Section 114. So make sure you get those tickets now, ladies and gentlemen, before they're all sold out. All right, Knicks versus Wizards in Washington, D.C. on February 24th. You know, we're going to have a group there. You know, we're going to do a pregame podcast, a postgame podcast, and all that stuff. It's going to be fun. Right there, we're doing those podcasts right there, ladies and gentlemen, in the Capital One Arena. So make sure you join us. All right.
Sim, according to Fred Katz from The Athletic, the protected first rounder Knicks are sending to Portland in the Josh Hart trade is their 2023 one, league sources said. It's lottery protected in 2023 and turns into 4 second rounders if it doesn't convey this year. So if the Knicks are in the lottery, that means it turns into 4 second round picks. But the Knicks are not going to be in the lottery. So Portland will have our pick.
Right.
Basically.
Portland will have the pick.
So right.
Yeah. So if the Knicks pick number 22, Portland will have the 22nd pick. Basically.
But we'll still have the Dallas pick. So even if the Washington doesn't convey, we'll have at least the Dallas pick.
Right.
Yeah. Right. The Knicks will have at least that. You know.
All right. Good deal.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Josh Hart. It's a New York Knick. The Knicks play tomorrow night.
No, right? Friday, I think.
Friday. So there's a chance that he plays Friday. Right? The Knicks. The Knicks play who? Philadelphia Friday?
Philly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna say I'm lukewarm on a trade. Just so I could give Hart some room to warm me up.
I mean, I feel good about the trade. I'm a little leery about the draft pick thing.
Yeah.
I'm a little leery about that because I understand that the Knicks have Dallas's pick, right? But just what if something comes up and you need to move that 2024 pick? That's what I'm concerned about. What if something does come up and now you can't move that pick? That's my only concern. Because you were going to have to do something with one of those 2 picks, in my opinion, because I don't think the Knicks were going to draft 2 or 3 rookies.
I was trying to get them to trade up. That's what I wanted them to do.
All right.
Package it together. Exactly.
You know, they were going to have to do something, trade up.
Right.
You know, they were going to have to do something with the picks. I would have liked it to be Dallas's pick that they moved.
They knew Dallas was going to be good because of Kyrie. They didn't want it.
I mean, they may turn out being close to the same, though.
Yeah.
Right? They could be close to the same number of pick. You know, obviously the Knicks couldn't put protections on that pick, but they wouldn't have had to worry about it. They could have just moved it along. You know what I mean?
Does that make you feel like there was some bad negotiations from the Knicks?
No, I think
I don't know.
I'm just asking.
I think the Knicks really wanted Josh Hart.
I should have worded it better because I didn't mean bad. You know what I mean? But in negotiations, sometimes you could have got a better deal had you only asked, had you only negotiated. You know what I mean?
But we don't know.
You ever did a deal with somebody and they're like, "Yo, I'll give you $50 for that right now," and you're like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I'll do that." And then you walk away, you're like, "Yo, I would have sold this joint for $20." You know what I mean?
Right.
But you got to think.
That's what I mean.
Go ahead, Nate.
They really wanted Josh Hart, and I truly believe that it had to have been our pick that got him. Like I truly believe that, when a team really wants a player, and like Sim said before, we really scout what players we want and we target those players. And I think that they strategically targeted Josh Hart because he's on a young team and, he's played well at times and he could be a better fit for us. And that it cost us that pick. Unfortunately, the price of what you want, you got to pay for it.
Personally, going into this whole thing, I didn't want the Knicks to trade any picks going into it anyway because, like I said, I wanted them to move up. But now that they have done so, they better extend Josh Hart.
That's what I'm saying. I really do think they've already had discussions on that.
At least pick up his player option for next season at the very least. They can't have him walk and be a rental player for a team that's probably not even projected to get out of the first round. Probably not projected, and you gave up a first.
Josh, you don't go this far unless you're going to keep this guy. I truly believe, and if they do let him walk, then this front office needs to all be fired.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that's 2 first-round picks that we've let walk, or we've lost because
the Cam Reddish pick was somebody. It was Charlotte's pick that was protected through like 54 or something crazy. So I mean,
no, I don't think that's what it was.
I think
it was a first-round pick. 54.
Yeah, it was a first round.
I know.
It was a first round
I know,
pick.
but it was like protected throughout the first round. Literally, it was like a super heavy protections on that pick. It was crazy. It was like that's not going to convey. It was super heavy. But let me get to a phone call. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Wayne from Kansas.
Wayne, what's going on, my brother? How you feeling, man?
Oh man, I'm just just not feeling right now. I got 2 questions for you. Wasn't Cam in his last year of his rookie deal? Why they just didn't just let him go? And 2, I mean, Josh Hart's all right, good role player, but I mean, we're like right in the middle. We're not gonna get better. We're not getting any worse. Like, I would rather for us just to complain about us not doing nothing than trade for another role player, get swept in the first round, maybe win 1 game. I mean, I think they just need to get rid of the whole front office. They just keep trying to stockpile picks, give away picks, and not doing nothing to move the needle. We stuck right in the middle. We're not getting no better. Just I don't know, man. You know what I mean? I'm done with this front office, man.
So you would have just rather had stood pat. I mean, I actually think Josh Hart is a good pickup, though, to help.
Yeah,
to help,
I think he's a good pickup. I think he's a good role player.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say Tibbs gonna give him the minutes? Look at Obi. Obi averaging like 10 minutes. Somebody gonna have to go to the bench. I mean, McBride, is his minutes gonna get cut down? I mean, you see what they're doing. Everybody's averaging 35 to 37 minutes a game. So where's minutes gonna come in at?
I mean, I think Josh Hart, in my opinion, I think he's the kind of, I think he's a Tibbs type of a player, right? So I do think he'll get minutes. Now he's been getting 33 minutes per game in Portland, right? But he's not. I don't know if he's going to get 33 minutes per game with the Knicks. I don't think he's going to get 33 minutes a game. But Josh Hart is a guy when you talk about like Obi, and he's a guy that's averaged, 15 points per game. Right, when he was with Portland last year before, after he was traded from New Orleans, he averaged 19.9 points per game for the remainder of his time with Portland. And that was only like 3 games. So I mean, he's a guy who's kind of more established than Obi. Obviously, plays better defense than Obi. 2 different positions. You know what I mean? So
true. True. Yeah. And one last thing, let me ask you one thing. What's the deal with these keep getting all these CAAs? This is the NBA, not the CAA. I mean, they got to stop doing this with me.
Is Josh Hart CAA?
No, he used to be.
Oh, he used to be. Okay. Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what me and Tony were saying earlier. Leon Rose, if he's got some kind of networking connection with you, you might get traded to the Knicks, right? Obviously, Josh Hart played for Villanova, played with Jalen Brunson, so there's a connection right there. You know what I mean? That's how Leon Rose moves, man.
Yeah.
Keep it all in the family.
Yeah.
Mob style.
Yep. Yeah, but thanks, man. I ain't gonna hold you guys up, man. Y'all doing your thing, man. Keep it up.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Who is Josh Hart's representation right now? Is it CAA?
No, Aaron Mintz. Oh, that is CAA, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It used to be Leon Rose before he took the job.
Aaron Mintz, yeah, that's CAA.
There you go. They need to get some of the top CAA ones.
So that Charlotte Hornet pick that was moved in the Cam Reddish trade was top 18 protected that year. So Charlotte didn't convey. It's going to be top 16 protected this offseason. Charlotte probably won't convey, and then it goes down to lottery protected next season. So it hasn't conveyed yet, but those protections are going to be there, and they lessen over time. So there you go.
Okay. For some reason, I swear I thought I read that it was like had these super heavy protections on it, but you know,
that was the one we got in that trade, right? On draft night.
Yeah. On couple seasons ago, couple drafts ago, whatever.
For Duran,
But yeah, Josh Hart, another CAA guy. That's that's something. I mean, that's the way Leon Rose likes to move, man. That's the way he likes to move. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what the Knicks do next. We'll keep paying attention, to what's going on with the trade deadline. The biggest things that happened so far, obviously Kyrie Irving ended up in Dallas. You got the whole thing going on with the Los Angeles Lakers, D'Angelo Russell to the Lakers, right? Russell Westbrook and draft compensation to Utah, Mike Conley to Minnesota. But the Lakers also came away with who they come away with? D'Angelo Russell,
Vanderbilt,
Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley.
Yep.
That was a nice get for
richer.
Them.
They got a hole to climb themselves out of, though.
They do, no doubt about that.
But they got some young pieces that they can go forward with.
Yeah. Just an update on what we were talking about earlier in regards to the picks conveying and stuff like that. Not the Charlotte one, but for this particular trade,
right.
Josh Hart. According to Fred Katz, he said teams are not allowed to go without first-round picks in consecutive seasons. A rule in place to save teams from themselves, the Stepien rule. But because the Knicks own the Mavs 2023 first-rounder, and because that pick is only top 10 protected and thus extremely likely to convey, they would still be able to trade their 2024 first-rounder in a trade this offseason. So it doesn't have to be your own. As long as they draft a pick in the first round, they can be able to trade the one in the following year.
All
They'll
right.
still have their full allotment of 4 first to trade. Yeah.
Right. That's good. That's good. That's real good to know, So I guess either way, then it doesn't matter which one it is, if it's yours or if it's Dallas's, right? Either way, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what the Knicks do next, if they do anything next. I wouldn't mind them bringing in Saddiq Bey. They still have enough to, be able to bring that guy in my opinion. I don't know if it would, take them. If it takes moving another first-round pick, I don't know if I want to do it.
It is.
I don't think I would do it if it's moving Obi either, to be honest. I think they could play alongside each other.
Who can?
Saddiq Bey and Obi Toppin. I think Saddiq could play the 3 and guard the better of the 3 or 4 on the opposing team.
And then Deuce is out. So then you're talking about Emmanuel Quickly, Josh Hart, Saddiq Bey, Obi Toppin, and then Isaiah Hartenstein. Yeah, no, definitely. I could rock.
But then you're giving a first-round pick for Saddiq Bey. But if you're not giving a first-round pick, then it's going to probably be Obi.
Hey, I keep saying this, and I heard I want to say Low, the Low Post podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
Kevin Lowe.
Take the protection. Give them back their own pick. their pick is unlikely to convey anyway to us. At least in the next two years. Give them back their own pick. You know what I mean? We own it. We own their first round pick, but it's so protected that it's not gonna convey.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that opens up a spot, a pick for them to trade because we own their pick this year, and if it don't convey next year, then it don't convey the next year. They're unable to move a draft pick because they have to wait till they know which one is going to convey to know which one they can move next. So just give them back their pick, which is not going to be any value to us for at least 4 years.
Right.
When it becomes 4, whatever,
right.
2 seconds gets to Big Bay here. And
I still think they would want Obi.
They probably would.
Yeah.
I think they would want another player in return, but and that's why, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm good.
That's why I wanted to move Cam there.
Right.
Because we could have did that straight up, no picks. They had the cap space to absorb the 2-3 million difference in salary between the two of them, and boom.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. Before we get out of here, I want to talk about Cam's fit in Portland. How do you think that's going to work for Cam? I hope Cam finds his footing somewhere, you know?
I hope he finds it there, to be honest, because
it's a very young team.
He has all the opportunity and room to grow.
Oh yeah.
There. The only problem is, theoretically, it's not like they traded him to the Rockets. You know what I mean? Like, they're still kind of trying to win now. You know what I mean? Like they got Dame there. They're not trying to give people room to grow. They want you to come in and be your best immediately. One thing I will say is maybe I think he's gonna be motivated. You know what I mean? After going through Atlanta, I like his fit next to Sharp and Simons for the long haul. You know what I mean? If they decide to move Dame, you got a nice young core right there. Plus whatever you get in return for Dame, you know what I mean? Some draft picks, some young guys. You could have a head start on the Houstons. You know what I mean? And maybe not the Magic, but you know what I mean? You could at least leapfrog Houston in the rebuild. You know what I mean? And have a nice head start.
Nate?
Yeah, I think honestly, like, he could be a good slasher right off the bat with a guy like Dame. You know, they like to run. I think he could definitely be a guy that, you know, runs the floor and gets easy buckets, you know, and he's still working on his jump shot. But I think right off the bat, he could be a good slasher and he could be a great compliment to Simons. So I really want to see if he's going to blossom there.
Yeah. I think the important name to remember in this whole Cam Reddish situation is Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups is a little bit of a different coach than Tom Thibodeau and McMillan and who else, Lloyd Pierce or whoever Atlanta had. A little bit more of a player's coach. If this doesn't work out for Cam,
right,
I don't know what will.
Right.
Three teams in 2 years. That says right there.
And listen, Chauncey Billups should be a guy that Cam can relate to, because Chauncey went through, kind of a similar thing in his career. You know, bounced around to a few different teams before he really found his footing and found his way. So, Chauncey Billups could be really good for Cam and help him, figure it out. There's, there's some young talent on the team. Like you said, Shaden Sharp, you got Nazir Little there, Anthony Simons, Damian Lillard, obviously. You got Jeremy Grant there. Excuse me. So he's got people in Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons, and right now Gary Payton II is their starting small forward. You got Shaden Sharp there. He's gonna have to find his way through the lineup, but he'll have a chance. Excuse me, I just got something in my throat.
Here's a crazy stat. Here's a crazy stat. I'm watching ESPN right now. Jalen Brunson's second in the most points in clutch time this season at 120. More than Luka at 107. Just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
He's been there all season, Nate. Where you been?
All season. I don't know.
Oh, I know. But I didn't. I mean, ahead of Luka, I didn't know that, man, because Luka never passes. So
Nate's just getting back into the swing of things, Tony.
No, I've been watching him.
Back into the swing of things, man.
I've been watching him. I just didn't know he had it over Luka, man. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if anything else pops off, we'll definitely let you know. I think my man Andy is looking to do a trade deadline special tomorrow. Leading up to, the deadline at 3:00. I'll probably join him for a period of time, and then I got to head off and get to my own basketball game. So look forward to that right there. Where he'll probably, we'll break down some trades that have already happened. We'll talk about this some more, and maybe the Knicks will do something else. We'll see. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, it's 12:40. I didn't know we was going to be on for an hour and a half, but, we had a good conversation breaking it down. And if anything else, any other details come out tomorrow, we'll be able to break those down with you as well. So we're going to get up out of here. All right. Make sure you go subscribe to my man Tony's Knicks and Bruises, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't, you need to do that right now. You also need to get those tickets to the Knicks versus the Washington Wizards in D.C. on February 24th. All right. We'll be there. MBK will be in the building. There's a link pinned to your YouTube chat. You know what I mean? And there's also one in the description of the video. So make sure you go check that out. As soon as we head up off of here, putting it in the chat one more time so you can get it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Josh, any idea next time you're going to be doing a controversy?
It depends on what time Andy's going to be on tomorrow doing for the trade special. We'll probably do it combo controversy or with International Andy. But it'll be after the trade deadline. I'll break down what the Knicks did. How's that going to affect us moving forward? And if it helps us get past the first round.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Nate, any last words?
I love this trade. I really do. I think people are going to fall in love with Josh Hart in New York. The guy is all effort. He's not going to disappoint. And like I said, I truly believe that the Knicks making all these moves with their draft pick says that they're going to keep this guy. I'd be shocked otherwise. So
we'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your time. Out of here. Peace.
This is MBK. Nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is MBK, nothing but Knicks.